Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Master of None podcast. Can I get a cheer?
Woo!
Thank you, Sam. Westy?
Yay.
I'm here. I'm
Wesley's just sad because there's no rugby the week.
Yeah, I know. Well,
I'm just getting over the shocking announcements that have come through in the last 20 minutes or last hour that
all
rugby is called off.
Yeah, all sports.
All mini rugby is off for the foreseeable future.
Any sport that you like.
Oh man, I was going to go to training this week and everything. This was the one week I was going to go.
Exact same as me. I got a text this morning being like, no training this evening. I was like, oh man, I was so totally going to go this week.
The pelting rain, I'm sure, also helped. I'm here with the lads as always, Sam and Westy.
I'm back.
Yeah, you were back last time.
Was it back last time?
Yeah,
Oh, it's been 2 weeks. We had the week off. Okay.
Yeah, we had the week off because nothing really happened.
This break in the Six Nations and then coronavirus and everything, it's not helping.
Speaking of coronavirus, I'm sick.
Oh
yeah, I mean we should really be doing this via live telecast. I mean I don't know why we're
I
not
should
in
be
the
in
same room as you for this.
I should be in some sort of a bubble.
Yeah, probably.
What was that film? There was a bubble.
Boy in the bubble.
The Boy in the Bubble. It was loosely based on my life.
What? Suddenly your life makes a lot more sense.
I know, right? Which is why I'm so socially awkward. We're going to review the 2 games that was on the weekend, and then a few incidents that may or may have not occurred. Joe Marler.
Yeah, well, the 2 games that were on the weekend, this is making it so difficult to know what's going on because no one knows what's going on with like the rescheduling games and stuff. But the 2 games happening and 1 game not, we're all over the place. Six Nations.
Yeah.
The beauty of the Six Nations is at the end of each game week, you know where everyone stands.
Yeah.
And now it's all over the
Do you
place.
think Ireland? See, Ireland at the moment won't play.
But Italy or France until October.
They play France first, though, don't they?
Is the Italy one definitely October? Are they both October? Because I saw France was, but I thought Italy they were talking about trying to do it in June. So
well, I hope they do, but I think at the minute they were saying that we're looking at 5 internationals in October.
Yeah,
we already have the game set.
Which means the start of next year's league, like the start of Pro 14, is going to be all over the place. You're not going to get your internationals back until November, December. Like.
Think as well about the fact that if, let's say, next season starts, in September or whatever, if you're playing that long season and then you're selected for the Lions as well, like you're goose. Like you're going to be playing 10 or 11
coming off the
months.
back of this year with the World Cup and everything like this,
you're going to be tired.
This summer would have been a really important rest period anyway, and now.
Well, this is a massive rest period coming now, so.
Yeah, take your 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Go to Lidl, buy your Jack's roll, and take your 2 weeks.
Loads of toilet roll.
For storms, we stock up on Brennan's bread, but for flus, we stock up on toilet roll. It's an
And
interesting
pasta.
country.
Apparently, loads of pasta.
Oh, I was in Lidl there an hour ago. There was no pasta and there was no Jack's roll, and there was about 3 milks left, and that was it. Like.
Why are people obsessed with pasta?
Because it
It's
just
not
doesn't go
perishable.
off. You just leave it in the cupboard. I got a load of noodles. I'm going
I'm going
China style.
Full-
Really embracing the coronavirus. I'm
Back
going
in the-
noodle stir fry.
Back in the day, it used to be Spuds. We've lost the run of ourselves.
Spuds
Now
don't
it's
keep
pasta.
those. Spuds do not keep half
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
cappuccino sachets.
How long is a bag of Spud going to last? A bag of Spud's going to last
Long
you a
enough,
week,
Westy.
maybe 10 days, but you're not getting 2 weeks.
Yeah,
You can't isolate with a bag of Spud. You can isolate with a bag of pasta.
Your house in college, there was a bag of Spuds at the start of the year. There was a Spud plant at the end of the
Yeah.
year. It was in a cupboard for the whole year.
Somebody put it in there, and I think, because we had like 6 bedrooms, I think someone moved out and left them there. And every so often we'd open the press, there'd just be like these stalks of Spud coming out.
It's
I'm like,
disgusting what
oh,
happens.
that's weird. And then you'd close it and leave it there.
No one thought of actually dealing with it, no?
No.
We'll actually on to some rugby talk. What was the first game? France-Scotland.
No, England wins.
England wins.
Oh, sorry, England-Wales.
was earlier,
I'm
yeah.
sick. England won. The scoreline was quite tight actually in the end, but the game
It
wasn't.
a tight game,
no.
It was
Wales have become, and this is a golf reference, so I don't expect either of you two to get this, but
Hey, I've been to the driving range.
yeah, I went to the day actually.
Where's my
Rusty.
text? Are we
Cheers to
still
the
on
call, man.
We went once, I think, did we?
time? We went at least twice.
Okay. Wales have become like Rory McIlroy, right? And so I'm a big Rory McIlroy fan.
They become Northern Irish.
Yes.
They got married in Mayo.
Yes. Yes, the country. So Rory has a habit of the first 3 rounds he'll not play great, and then he'll have a stormer of a last round, and then finish like 2 off the lead, but actually was nowhere near in contention. So you know what I'm saying? Like Wales,
like garbage time.
for 65 minutes were beaten well and truly, and then the last 10 minutes they kind of tapped on 2 tries and makes it look more respectable.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like garbage time in the NFL where
Yeah.
you're up by about 40 and then the other team gets 30 back, but the team in control knows that there's no mathematical way of them getting back.
England
So
were
the
never
scoreline
going
is
to lose
close.
that game.
No, not at all.
Not even close. So that's a golf reference. So anyone who enjoys golf, you're welcome. You two peasants won't.
I don't enjoy watching golf. I don't mind playing it. I'm not very good at it, but I don't mind playing it.
I'd well believe that, sorry.
Oh man, I can't do 18 holes of golf. She's like maybe 9.
No, but if you do it like the way I do, you lose your ball on at least 6 of the holes. Like you only have to do about 3.
If you're only hitting one shot a hole, it's actually not that long. It's just expensive.
Yeah, 18 hole in ones.
Yeah.
Or 18 new balls.
Yeah, 18, yeah, exactly. England started this game really well. A lovely move off the set piece to free up Watson.
Yeah, he scored within about 2 minutes.
Yeah, really nice try.
That's that England from last year. I mean, it's still their game plan now. But
yeah,
their game is to score early, to strike as early as possible, get ahead, and they kind of.
Well, that's what as Squidge said, that they love a line out early. And they then have a set play for that. For basically the next few plays they know exactly what they're doing, and Squidge broke it down really nice actually in his video. So Wales put Ken Owens and the other prop,
Dylan Lewis, was it?
Dylan Lewis. They actually don't join the maul from the line out. They kind of sit back.
Yeah.
But they then get dragged out from it, leaving quite a large gap. So then when the ball comes reversed back to Watson, he's got loads of room, and the number 9's already on his back foot, and he's straight through. So it's a really nice, like, smart play from A. Jones, even though he's an asshole. Really smart from him.
Yeah, but like him being an asshole aside, I said at the start of the tournament, he's the coach in the best position going into this tournament because he had the same team. He was the one going with the most consistent sort of experience in terms of his players and what they could do. And those sort of set plays, it's not like Andy Farrell trying to put together a set play for Ireland or Pivot trying to put together a set play for Wales. Like, he's had years to put these together, so they know what they're doing. So even if it's new personnel coming into an already existing system, those set plays are in the locker the whole time. So you get straight off the top, like you were saying, they want a scrum or they want a line out because they want to just assert their dominance, use a set play, use a chance for all of them to get going. Whereas if you have open, messy ball for a few minutes at the start, it allows Wales to come into the game gradually, or any team. Like if England are playing, the first thing they want to do is they want to set their stall, they want to dominate, and they want to just do something as crisp that they know it. Like it's like driving a car. They're just doing it in training so regularly, so often that the first move they're going to do is just going to be second nature.
Yeah, and even if there's slight changes in that, you know, it's easier to change one thing about a set move, add another leg to it than to get something new entirely. But about the Ken Owens and the Dylan Lewis thing, I did see, I saw it in the game, I saw what Squidge was saying about them, you know, they kind of push the ball out to the backs. But to me, that's kind of counterintuitive because, you know, in any kind of match that you play from, again, like ages 16 up probably, or even earlier than that now, you're told as the pillar, as the first man at the end. So if you're going to stand off that ruck, let's say from the line out, you don't move. You're there because you're ready for the ball to come back. Like I have done it in games. I've done it in you know, cup finals here against Corinthians most recently, where I went with the ball as the pillar and I left a gap and they fucking barged through. You know, it seems counterintuitive for me that the two lads go and leave that gap. You know?
They're obviously told to do it though, because I think Squid showed a few examples that they did it.
Yeah.
So I think what is the expectation that the scrum half kind of fills that gap then?
Maybe that's what they're saying by they kind of hide Watson then behind Youngs.
Yeah, Youngs. So it was clever, and I really liked it actually, and it was a great pass by Ben Youngs, who had actually quite a good game.
Yeah,
it
was due.
Yeah, definitely overdue. Then kind of England kind of just dominated, and from then on, Wales did score an absolute cracker straight off the kickoff though in the second half. Really nice play by Tompkins, dodges one tackle and loads of space.
Into Navidi, wasn't it?
Yeah, Navidi. Good to see my boy Navidi back.
Yeah, big time.
Just, what hair.
But his work rate is phenomenal. Even his defensive line is,
great show of pace to keep up with that. You know what I mean? For a 7, it was very impressive, and he finished well. So, but then again, England kind of dominating, and then George Ford I thought played quite well in this game.
He did. He played better. I mean, he was kind of shaky in the first 2 games because he's playing out of position, and then I think people were saying that he was still trying to play centre in the other games on the wing and vice versa. But yeah, I think now that they have kind of a more established backline, they've got Liam Williams back, they've got Halfpenny obviously in North in their back 3. I think that obviously drives you back into your position. You know, when you're playing with more experience, whereas when they have, I mean, Josh Adams is a great player, but again, he's that bit younger. I think when you fall back into the familiar kind of back 3 that they've had for so long,
yeah, and credit to Wales, like they are obviously going through a lot of change right now. Pivac's definitely a lot different to Gatland, and they have lost 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've lost 3 games out of
3 in a row.
4. So, but in fairness, they're not like panicking. Do you know what I mean? They realise this was a year for change for them, which is kind of what I want Ireland to do as well.
Yeah, it's
but they're
like
not panicking. They're sticking with it, and they're seeing flashes of what they can do.
It's like we were saying
together.
The last podcast, though. It's like if Ireland were getting the same results that Ireland are getting now, but there was nothing you could see to kind of give you any confidence that this is the right way going forward, then you'd be annoyed. And it's the same with Wales. Wales aren't getting the best results, but there's enough there to see on the pitch that there's a new system being put in place, and they're enjoying watching it. And when it starts to click, it'll click properly, and they'll reap the rewards of it. And that's what I think all of the Wales fans wanted going into this. Like, we had a big change from Schmidt, but they had an even bigger change from Gatland. Like, Gatland has been a complete institution there. He's overseen a hugely successful period in Welsh rugby. So to have an entirely new team go in there, they had to do something and change. And all the Welsh fans wanted was to just be shown a little bit of what's to come. They didn't think that they'd get the full finished article, because it was never going to happen.
Do you think Ireland would be able to handle 3 losses in a row?
See,
like
this is
the
the
media
problem.
and the
but
fans?
this is the problem with the media now, and I've said it on the first Six Nations podcast we did. Is it's the responsibility of the media, of the ex-players in the media. There's loads of them in and around. It's their responsibility to start backing them and to calm people down, because the rest of the media are doing what soccer media does, and just like calling for the acts, calling for the controversy, calling for the EastEnders moment, because they just want something big and something like juicy to stick on Twitter so that people read it for half an hour, and then it becomes this third tweet down and no one ever reads it again. And it's the responsibility of, let's say, the Brian O'Driscolls or Horgans, or the people, Tommy Bowes, the lads who are in the...
Tommy Bow!
The lads who are there, the lads who know what it's like, and the lads who know that there is absolutely no way that this Irish team has any notions of what they're going to be doing for the next 2-3 years under Farrell as of yet, because they've been together for about a month. So it's their responsibility to say that from a professional point of view, with the experience of having new coaches, coming in. Like, how many times did Leinster get new coaches? It wasn't perfect straight away. All those Leinster players, they were like, things didn't go right, but they were always like, oh, it's building towards something. And now they're in the media and they're not defending it. They're not giving it the same sort of emphasis that it should be getting. And I think that it's unfair. I think it's annoyed me for the last year or so how rugby has turned to soccer, and it's happened with Andy Friend in Connacht a fair bit, where you see on Twitter like people calling for his head, or on Facebook as well, on these Connacht like supporters groups, and you're seeing people calling for his head the way they do with soccer, the way they do the second something goes wrong at United or something goes wrong at Liverpool. And that's just not a rugby thing. Rugby is allowed to develop. You're allowed, and because there's not as much financial kind of push onto the rugby teams as there is in like Premier League soccer, you're not as required, and there's no relegation, so you're not as required to have instant results. And that seeped into rugby a little bit in the last while, and it's something I don't like about it, and I really want it to stop. I hate the calling for the manager's head after half a season. At the end of the year, have a review, then fine. Like after Kieran Keane had a year at Connacht, it was time to go. But all throughout that year, people were like, give him a chance. He's new. He's come over here. He's a completely new ideology. He's not Pat Lam. We have to see how it goes.
Yeah, and we'd come off not a great season, 4th season of Pat Lam, was it? When he left for Bristol not halfway through, but announced it. It was the same with Eddie Jones. I mean, back in 2017, I think it was, like England had a terrible time. Like they were shipping horrible results. And I think there was a little bit of calling for Eddie Jones out at the time, but it wasn't as kind of fanfarical as it is now, as the kind of media coverage and stuff has gotten more kind of quick digestible headlines, like, oh, is Farrell the right man for the job? It's been 3 games. We obviously know the answer now. It's like, of course we don't.
And once the people in charge of IRFU, once they don't get caught up in it, do you know what I mean? Obviously fans don't actually make the decision for head coaches to leave and and all that. So once people in IRFU are, he signed a 2-year contract, give him the 2 years.
Yeah, but if the IRFU, they have the responsibility to go to the sponsors and to go to the investors and explain the situation and give them, and be as open as possible. Come out and say something like, Farrell is the man for the job. We understand that this year was never going to be a winning year. It was never going to be easy. But the sponsors, they're the ones that will see the pressure from the fans. The IRFU have their understanding of rugby, and that's not in their interest, but in their interest is keeping sponsors happy. And if Vodafone, let's say, start seeing that fans are getting annoyed, they start putting pressure, they start getting annoyed. They're so like, we're not sponsoring a losing product. they need to be reassured about the long term goals of rugby and how rugby works and why it's supposed to work that way.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing to keep in mind is we've still only lost one game. Do you know what? First off,
still win the Six Nations.
The main thing to keep in mind is we're supposed to be talking about England and Wales.
Yeah, in November we might be Six Nations champions.
If anyone comes to the Master of None for structured conversation, you're at the wrong podcast.
Someone was saying to me, "It's like, oh, it's between after England won. They're like, oh, England have it so." And I was like, well, no. If we win both our games with a bonus point, then we win. You know,
France are still.
Yeah, France are still.
I would say France are still in the driving seat. No?
Like, who knows where France are in October as well? Like as a team, like this is going to blow the whole tournament open. I don't know if personally I'm going to be as invested in who wins the Six Nations, but come October, like it's going to be a long time. We got
robbed of a fantastic last day. If it had gone ahead, we would have had 3 teams going for 2 of them which are playing each other.
Yeah,
and then England are going to put a big score up in Italy regardless. So would have come down to the France Ireland game. So you would have had a cracking last day though.
Yeah, and I mean it's a shame. I think I agree with you, Sam. Like obviously I'm going to be really excited when the games are finally played, but the winner will always be asterisked. You know, like it's not the same thing 6 months later.
No,
like
and
can't say that.
And I know this is nothing to do with England and Wales, and we're getting so far off topic. But I was thinking of this the other day. Like, say the likes of James Lowe, who qualifies for Ireland by then, or other lads who are back from injury or might be on form by then. Should there be a rule that you have to have been in this group of players or qualified by now, as opposed to
the
like
current squad?
The current squad has to be the squad for that time, or there has to be some sort of way to keep it so that it's the same tournament, because you could have 35 completely different French players, 35 completely different English players, 35 completely different Irish players by then. Like, you know, you never know. By that point, like, Harty's true potential might be showing through and he'd be running the back line, and Sexton will be retired by then.
Well, I doubt that. But yeah, it wouldn't be fair. I know it's not going to happen because he doesn't qualify to November. But if James Lowe did play the last game, hypothetically, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it should be if your eligibility.
His qualification is in November. It's not November, October 31st. It's not the end of October, is it?
But October.
Because he was qualified for the November internationals, but I think that's because his qualifying date was the next set of internationals was after. That was the November internationals, but his qualifying date might be earlier than that. Like,
yeah.
This is
like it would not be September though. Would that not be?
It could be September or October, but the people were always saying he's not qualified till November because that was the next set of internationals.
Yeah, possible, but I don't think. I think you're eligible if you're eligible on the first day of the Six Nations, like this year.
Yeah,
then you're allowed to play.
Yeah, that's how it should be, especially with this case. Although
it's all the question then comes on top of, and this is how we're going to get back to England and Wales.
Thank God.
Watch this seamless transition.
I'm looking forward to it.
When it comes back to the fact that players are banned now, obviously that's part of a tournament. So the likes of Tuilagi, who's now going
to plays for England,
red card against Wales in the match.
Boom.
You know, it would be kind of interesting to see a context where those bans are kind of held up for the next game.
That's a very tough one though, because say with the likes of Tuilagi and that ban is in rugby, they've always done time frame bans, not amount of matches bans. Whereas in soccer they do matches bans, so you have 2 matches, 3 matches. But in rugby they do 4 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. So that would be very hard to monitor. I think that for this Six Nations, a special circumstance thing could be, because Tuilagi could get, like, say, a ban of 4 weeks, 5 weeks, let's just say for argument's sake, or 6, let's just say for argument's sake. He might be getting rested in the next couple of weeks. Then there's games off anyway. He might not get banned at all.
Arrested there for
he might be getting arrested. It might
also
be
very
next week as he has a plan. But no, like he could have that planned. He could have had a planned break for after the internationals anyway. So what use is this 6-week ban if he's not going to? He's not technically going to be playing rugby at all.
It's just such a unique set of circumstances that it's tough to know. Like, this has never really happened before.
It's never happened at all in all walks of life. It's affected us in work today. Like, we got sent home for 2 weeks and then we're supposed to be back for a week.
More time off for teachers.
More paid time off for teachers.
Paid time off.
Well, this has happened before. This happened in the foot and mouth crisis.
But that was Ireland Scotland. That was like one game. It wasn't 4 or 5 games. Yeah. And was the Ireland Scotland game? Did that matter?
I think they bet us, didn't they?
They bet us, but I don't think
they stopped the Grand Slam, did they not? No.
Yeah, I think it did.
Was
matter.
it?
I don't know. I was 9 or 10 at the time, so I don't fully remember. But I think it did matter, and I think.
No, you were 20, Westy.
The thing back then was 2001. Oh no, I was.
Yeah, but you're old.
What a burn. The thing back then was the rugby calendar was obviously shorter as well. So like that was Well, it was a different. It's the same circumstance, but it was different as well because.
Yeah, let's we'll move on to the incidents. So we'll start with the Tuilagi one. So I think we're all agreed, red card.
Oh, absolutely. Any of these mitigating circumstances where he's going down. Yes, he's going.
He did go down.
He's going down. Yeah, but doesn't matter. The way Tuilagi is shaping up, regardless of where he was, Tuilagi had never intended to wrap that tackle. That is pure
Tuilagi
shoulder barge.
Had it connected in the wrong area, he genuinely could have killed him.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
That man coming at that speed, that's scary.
It was not like by the letter of the law, it's a red card. You've seen in the past that been given as a yellow.
Yeah, because of the falling thing.
Yeah,
but the thing is just there's no indication that he's trying.
World Rugby are now tightening up on this. So, yeah, look, you can say that he's falling, but I think you said it right, Sam. Tuilagi is not in a position... even if he's straight up, Tuilagi is hitting him illegally.
Yeah.
And I was watching Against the Head during the week, and Eddie O'Sullivan was like, oh, there's mitigating circumstances, so it has to drop down, because there's mitigating circumstances.
Great Eddie impression.
Just in case anyone thought Eddie Sullivan walked into the room there, he didn't. That's Westy doing an impersonation.
And he was like, oh, but because there's mitigating circumstances.
Now do a George Hook.
Well, you see, the problem with that is...
Terrible, that wasn't even close.
Oh, come on, you cut me cold. Can I make my point?
Sorry, go ahead.
Eddie O'Sullivan was implying that just because there is a mitigating circumstance, you drop it to a yellow, as opposed to you analyse the circumstance and decide whether it was
the fact
enough
that he didn't attempt to wrap at all. He's leading with the shoulder. Like
it's unfortunately it's not out of character either. So if you want to go with like the good behaviour argument, no, like he's...
And again, to add on to that, you're right. It is in character, and it comes off the back of. Like, England have just got a yellow card. That doesn't put you back to zero. Like, you're still on alert here. You've gotten a yellow card because of 6 or 7 penalties that you've given away.
Yeah, and as well, I totally forgot what I was just about to say.
I don't know. I have no clue. But what I'm saying is
that
like
a symptom of corona?
Yeah.
Sudden memory loss.
Yeah, but what Tuilagi's done is like it's extremely illegal, and it's fair play to the ref for sending them off because the mitigating circumstances. Refs are always looking for an excuse to not send people off because they don't want to be the main headline of the week. Like they don't want to be the guy that sent someone off wrongly to find out on the Monday that it was the wrong decision. So fair play to him for sticking to his guns and sending them off. And it needs to be brought into the game. This shoulder barge tackle thing, it's a rugby league style tackle. It needs to go.
I remember what I was going to say. You sparked it at me there. England definitely walked the line on what's legal and what's not legal when it comes to tackling. As soon as they kicked off the Welsh player, I think it was Bigger that caught it. 2 lads nailed him, and there was definitely no attempt at wrapping the right arm. Yeah, but it's kind of looked at as just aggressive tackling. Like there's definitely walking the line of what is legal and what's not legal. They've done that for the whole Six Nations. Well, bar the France game. Basically.
Yeah, but they've always tackled hard. They've always had like physically. Just I think that English team are just a bunch of monsters as well. Anyway. They've always tackled hard, but it's all walks of the game. It's the offside line. It's how they're rucking. It's even the way in which they, I can't remember, escort the runners. They're a lot more aggressive in the escorting than other teams. Like other teams escort them, but there's still a chance. But when England do it, it's a barge. Like they're playing with the laws. I think in rugby,
trying to get as close to the
as possible. in rugby, I think aren't they considered laws in rugby because they're not black and white. That's the whole idea.
No, I think it is.
There's interpretations to them and stuff.
They're laws, not rules, or something.
Yeah, and that's because a rule is like a black and white thing, and a law has slight interpretations, and you need to work out what your interpretation of that is. I don't know. It's a big moral thing.
Also, this is just a message because I'm sure he's listening to Owen Farrell. Stop being an asshole. You're too good of a player to be an asshole. Stop it. You don't need to do it.
Yeah, I love how the ref is telling him. It's like, oh, you've given away 5 penalties there. It's like, can you be more specific? It's like, don't have to be more. Yeah, it's like you're offside. It's like, can you be which one exactly? It's all of them.
There was 4 penalties, and then you had another one. So that's fine.
That's cropped up throughout the entire Six Nations. Like Bigger was the same. Some of the French lads have been the same with the refs, like acting like.
But Bigger did it because he was just having one of those days where he's been frustrated.
But he was also, the way he deals with refs, the way he was talking to refs, the way the Sexton has talked to refs, I think that's creeping into the game a lot more. You see it in the Pro 14, when we go to sports ground, when there's decisions made, and we're probably part of the problem, booing the refs, giving out to them. There's decisions made, but there's players up in their face, and that never used to be the case. It used to be just the captain finding out what your grievance was, and then going to the ref. And you see it all the time.
We don't want to
players giving out.
It circles back and it goes, we're talking more about Alwyn Jones a second. But Alwyn Jones saying as a captain, you can't talk to a ref anymore because there are captains who shout at refs and have now kind of ruined that beautiful thing in rugby where you had a voice to the ref all the time. And I think one of the things that really annoyed me about the red card is you have so many people then on Twitter been like, oh, this should have been a card and this should have been a card and you missed all them so you can't give that. It's like, well, because you missed something earlier that should have been a card doesn't mean you don't give a card at the end. Like,
actually, it does, Westy, so you're wrong.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's rule 104.
No, it's a huge problem.
I know you talk about consistency in refs, but there's a difference between like saying something's fine and then giving a penalty, giving a yellow card for a high tackle. Start the game and a red card.
But people don't want consistency because it's coming football now this year when they have like the offside line with the VAR, and suddenly it is black and white, and now people are like, oh no, it's not. It's taken away from the spirit of the game, and you're like,
which I get.
But you can't cry for something and then give out. Like if we were to replace refs,
like referees are human, they're going to make mistakes.
Like if we were to replace refs with computers that were to make every decision absolutely perfect, you'd have no rugby. Like there would be no flow to the game. It was stop start, and then everyone would be giving out about that. But now they're calling, like you said, they're calling for more consistency, and every time there's one decision made, they find 4 similar decisions that went the other way to like kind of beat the person with, and it's not on really.
Yeah, we'll move on to the Marler incidents because I was torn on this because my initial reaction was I laughed, and I'm being honest with that. I did laugh because I think it's more because I know it's Joe Marler. You know what I mean? If someone else does it, maybe it's a bit different. But I know what he's like. You know, the Haskell squirting the water thing. It's his character to try and rise people. Yeah. The more I thought about it, and the more people made some good points about it, it is wrong. But I'm sorry, I just don't think it's sexual assault.
No, I do. I disagree with you. I think, unfortunately, his physical act might not have been sexual assault in terms of going to prison for sexual assault, but what he's done is he's normalised something that's not supposed to be normalised. And in sexual assault in the real world, in the outside world, sometimes it's not like the act of doing something that constitutes sexual assault might not be sexual in nature. It might be powerful in nature, it might be inappropriate in nature, but it still constitutes sexual assault. It's still touching someone's genitalia without their permission.
Yeah, no, I get that. But see, when I think someone says sexual assault to me, I'm thinking like get the police or guards involved. You know, like there's an actual case here. I just don't. I think it's almost disrespectful to call to other proper sexual assault cases to call it sexual assault. To me personally, I don't think it's right. He should be punished, which he will, and there's definitely no place for it in the game. But I just think people love to overreact to things nowadays and get so upset about something.
It's definitely changed because of how it happened. Had that been caught on the pitch, and Marler been given a yellow card, and then a subsequent investigation goes on, this would all be different. But because nothing was said of it, it all kicked off on Twitter while that match was going on. That's all Twitter was talking about.
I didn't see it during the game. I only saw it afterwards.
I only saw it. I was checking Twitter during the game. I think it was Rugby Lad or someone shared the still of. It's a tough one. Like stuff happens in rugby matches. Like some of it's accidental, and some of it's on purpose. You get a hit in your area. Somebody will sometimes, when you're getting up from ruck, will give you a smack in different areas to slow you down. I have played rugby against friends of mine at the bottom of ruck. I have literally slapped them ever so slightly on the face repeatedly to aggravate them. Is that assault? No, it's not. But in this case, I think the problem that arises here is that if it doesn't go punished now, as you say, it normalises it, and it makes people think that sort of behaviour is okay.
Yeah, I don't want to come across that I think it's okay. It's definitely not. No. But Sam, when you seen it first, did you laugh or did you...
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter and I went, oh, that's funny, but I probably would have been a lot quicker to jump against it than some people would, because I didn't see it live at all. The first thing I saw was on Twitter, and the first thing that came to my mind was I saw it and I went, oh, what the hell is he doing? Because for me, the instant reaction is, that's funny, because you go to a boys' school, you grow up with this lad culture, and you go, oh, that's funny. But straight away I was going, no, actually, you know what? Is you spent how long for the last few years, rugby is in such a precarious position where everyone's trying to say that there isn't this lad culture around it, and there's various things.
Definitely is.
Oh, there is, and there's various things that have happened in this country in particular that, you know, they've been extremely high profile incidents and stuff, and everyone has had to defend it and be like, oh, this has happened in this rugby culture and all this, and you're going, this is Joe Marler in one of the biggest games in the year on TV doing something purely to get a rise out of someone that's normalising a really, really wrong behaviour. And I find it, from my point of view, being like a primary school teacher, you come into the yard the next day, and the lads in my school don't watch rugby, but if something like that happens in soccer, they're joking about it and they're laughing about it and they're normalising it from that age. You see it given out to referees is a thing that's coming from soccer. They're doing it in schools. Anything that you see, like celebrations, like any of those sort of things, they're doing it in school. Love Island, they're doing it in school. There's way too much normalising, but there's way too much normalising of this behaviour, and I think that's unfortunately what happened. And Joe Marler has an old school rugby laddish sort of persona that he does, and that people love him for, and he's like the king of banter and all that. And I think that's just, he's taken it a step too far now. He's done something that he thinks is all right and he thinks is normal. If he worked in an office and he did that to someone on another team in an office or whatever, it would be disgraceful behaviour. He'd be sacked straight away.
Yeah, I agree, and
I think he's gravely misjudged the situation.
Yeah, and he doesn't help himself because he tweeted afterwards like utter bollocks. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. But at the same time, I think a lot of it has to be considered as well as the intent of it. I don't think he's intending to cause pain, or he's not intending. No, but
he's not intending to cause pain. But if I go up and spank someone in my staff room's arse, I'm not intending to cause pain. I might have thought it was a joke, but But
there is a difference between a rugby pitch, though. As in, like, I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying you do things on a rugby pitch you would never do in an office situation.
No, you would, yeah, but it's still his workplace, and it's still, he has a responsibility as a role model, as someone who's on the pitch, who's representing their country. He has a responsibility to act in a way that people will aspire to, and that's what I think. It's no longer the time in life where people can get away with stuff like that. Like, that is not decent behaviour in society. It's unfortunately, like, it was a thing that happened in rugby, and that sort of laddish behaviour did happen. I don't think it should anymore, and I think that we're too far beyond that, just in the world we are.
See, definitely, again, as I said, it has to be punished now, because it can't be allowed to happen, and it can't be seen as something that's okay, because it's not okay. Like, it isn't okay.
No, it's not. Again, I'm not saying it's okay.
Like, when I saw it, I kind of laughed. I laughed at Joe Marler. I was like, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly, because it's Joe Marler.
The more I thought about it, I was like, you know what, that's actually pretty horrible. Like, I would have punched him, do you know? And credit to Alwyn Jones afterwards, you know, he made I don't know if you saw the press conference with him, he made them specify what they were talking about. And he's like, how would you feel if someone did that to you in your place of work?
It was so awkward because the journalist thought he was joking. Yeah. So when he kept saying what he specified, they started laughing. And then, like, it quickly turned that he wasn't joking with us at all.
And it stems, and I'm going to keep harping on about it. It stems from a culture that exists in rugby that I don't like and shouldn't exist in rugby. I think that we've all been part of rugby teams, sports teams that have lad, in inverted commas, WhatsApp groups that have, like, inappropriate stuff put in all the time. And sometimes that's a joke and sometimes it's hilarious. But there's plenty of people that, not us in particular, but there's plenty of people that have been put off playing the sport because of that. And there's plenty of young lads or young girls who've been put off playing the sport because of that type of behaviour that exists in rugby. And my mum said it as well when she was in school. She was in grammar school in England. That laddish behaviour was there. Like, it's been with rugby for too long, and it needs to go.
It definitely exists in rugby. But, like, what I'm saying basically is he'll be punished, and he should be punished. But is that enough then? Are you saying there should be more done? Or?
No, I don't think so. I think if he's punished to the letter of the law in rugby,
12-week ban?
A 12-week ban, which is to the letter of the law, he's punished for the act that he did, and he apologises it, and he doesn't do it again. I think that's fair. You draw a line under it. But if he continues to do it, or he continues to fight the fact that it was against it, and he puts something up on Twitter, if he doesn't accept his punishment, he puts something up on Twitter, then you follow up on it. But if he just says, really sorry, it was very inappropriate, I misread this situation, I know better, and it won't happen again, and accepts his punishment, done. You
have to remember as well, and I know this doesn't count for a lot, but these are two lads who have quite a close working relationship. They've been on tour together. They may have shared rooms together at times. Do you know? So there is a kind of underlying, like, do you know, if I was to smack you in the leg there now, we know there's no sexual intent behind that.
Well, you tell me.
I'm not going to go further than that. So again, I think it's Joe Marler really misjudging it, doing something that should, regardless of whether or not him and Alwyn Jones would have that kind of friendship off the pitch. I don't think they do, but regardless of if they did, it's not something you can do in the middle of a rugby match. And again, it's the fact, as you say, he turns to the camera and looks, he wants people to see what he's doing, and then he comes out on Twitter and says, bollocks, oh, what bollocks. If even before now he had come out and said, look, do you know what, like, I have to address this, I'm really sorry, Alan is a friend of mine, I wanted to kind of rile him up, I did the wrong thing, I am really sorry, people might, you might kind of come back from like, oh, maybe 12 weeks is too much. But the longer he refuses to acknowledge the mistake, it should be, as I say, it probably should be 12-week ban.
But that's Marler's like that though. He's not going to come out and apologise, I don't think.
But therein lies the problem. Why shouldn't he come out?
No, I agree. But that's it.
Whether you like it or not, you play rugby for your country, right? Your country, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, 99% of rugby bodies, international rugby bodies, have some sort of link to the government. They're funded somehow through government money. Therefore, you are a role model in society. You owe a debt to society. So you can't carry on like that.
The players who say that they're not role models, you are. Whether you like it or not, you are a role model. That's just the way it is.
It's just an unfortunate thing. And there's plenty of players that don't want to be a role model, but you have to take a responsibility. Everyone has to take a responsibility in the position they are. You work in IT, I work in a school. We both have to take a responsibility, and you adhere to the rules and to the societal norms that exist in those workplaces. I can't go into work with the tattoos out, the shorts on, because that's just not how my work goes. Rugby players, like you said, rugby pitch is different to an office. There are societal norms that exist in a rugby pitch that don't exist, like smacking people or, having a word with this.
Tackling.
But I do think that grabbing someone's genitals is just off limits regardless of where it is. It's just not a thing that anyone should be doing. It's a culture that exists that probably made a lot of people not play rugby and feel very uncomfortable growing up. Didn't happen to me, but if you were in a changing room when you were 13, 14, and someone did that to you, you'd be gone. You wouldn't be playing rugby. And that's what he's done, is he's, in acting like that, he's risked that being normalised for another teenager to do it to a teenager that doesn't enjoy it. We all have a bit of a laugh in the changing room. I've had a bit of a laugh in the changing room for 20 years playing rugby. I love playing rugby, and we have lads WhatsApp groups that exist, and there are obviously there's jokes that go around them, and that's within the WhatsApp group. But there's some people that don't appreciate that, and I think that they're them not appreciating it should be just as important to a rugby team as the people that do appreciate it.
Yeah, I grew up playing Gaelic football. I only played rugby for 1 year, and that was 2 years ago. And I'd heard obviously about the rugby culture before I started playing rugby, and it does exist more so than Gaelic. I don't know what it is, but even the whole thing plays on drink, the kangaroo court, it's all it's, you hear about it before you go in, and then when you go in, and it's actually exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, and a lot of them are great traditions, and a lot of them are really good in terms of bonding with your friends, and in terms of enjoying your time. I love a lot of the rugby traditions, but I think that there are, in every sport or every job or every pastime, there are traditions that are good and there are traditions that are bad, and you can get rid of the bad ones. There's no reason why you have to keep bad traditions.
I don't think grabbing people's testicles is a rugby right tradition.
No, but it is lad culture. There's there's that sort of lad culture that doesn't need to exist in rugby. Rugby is a great sport to play regardless of what sort of lad culture exists around it. You don't need to have that normalized sort of activity or that misogynistic version or the overly drinking thing. You don't have to have that with it. There are great traditions around rugby, and if you enjoy them, you enjoy them. But I just think that is just beyond it. It's just, there's a line that he's crossed, and it just doesn't need to cross.
What irked me a bit is, and I think it's just modern culture as well, people didn't see it, saw the backlash to it, and then got offended by it.
Yeah, I mean, it's reactionist culture.
Yeah, I don't like that. Watch it yourself and make your own opinion about it. Like I said, I watched it first and I giggled because it's Joe Marler. I've seen him do stuff before. He's a good, he's a funny character, and I giggled at it. But then, when you actually sit down and think about it, it's obviously wrong. But I just think people, in my opinion, there's a lot more worse things going on in the world than Joe Marler slightly grabbing
absolutely
Joe's testicles.
But unfortunately, how many million people are watching Joe Marler?
He's we'll get on to the French incident again. How do these players not realise you've at least 50 cameras on you at all times on road?
I just think sports people are stupid. The amount of things that happen, off camera in inverted commas, they get picked up the next day and they get cited for it. Why? Just be an angel. Just don't be stupid. The French incident we'll talk about.
We'll get on to the French. We'll leave the Marler incident at that. I don't know when the actual hearing is. It's not far away, is it though?
I'd say it'll be soon enough. Yeah, they usually try and get
with the coronavirus.
Yeah, what's the point in giving him a 12-week ban if he's not going to play rugby for 7 of them?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
But look, on the whole, I thought it was. Do you know what? It really had everything you want from Wales versus England. There was drama, there was cards, there was scraps. There was an
almost comeback. There was it was good. No, it was a great game. It was a really enjoyable game. The Tuilagi thing, I think for me personally, as someone that I actually enjoy watching England, I know you don't, but I love Tuilagi as a player, and his red card was definitely deserved. But it was a shame because I love watching him play. I wish he was on the pitch.
He plays on the limits, and that's what makes him great. You know,
Yeah.
But it's those moments where you're like, if you could just take that out of your game,
Yeah, if you could just refine yourself a little bit.
yeah.
See, again, I'd say if all you have to do, like, you know, Eddie Jones said in the press conference afterwards, what could Tuilagi have done? It's like,
Just wrap
well,
his arm.
if you brought your arm at 45 degrees, you might have got away with it. You know, 90 degrees, you're safe. You know, like,
I'd find that more dangerous than the Mara thing. Is it like you can?
Oh, it's
see
more.
it-
It's more.
dangerous.
It's more
yeah,
dangerous.
but like it's more like, you know, make an example of that as well. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
Don't
yeah, no,
have to
absolutely,
do that.
and he will. But that happens regularly. That's the thing. There's an example made of that weekly. Like Peter Robb got sent off for Connacht the other day for his forearm brushed
That
against the
was-
head of someone.
You
But
saw it in the chest and stood up.
That's
that
harsh.
you know, contact with the head gets made an example of all the time. This is the first time I can remember an incident like this happening at all with
Yeah,
Marler.
it's definitely unique.
yeah, and like you can make the argument like you have to tackle, like that's integral to the game. So your technique then is what gets you in trouble. You don't have to go after people's private areas.
You don't
It's
have
not
to.
part of
No.
the game.
Not that I'm aware of anyway. But and then
This isn't tag rugby.
Farrell patting George Norton in the head. I hate that shit.
Yeah, that's
I hate
yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
That angers me so much. Like again, Farrell, you don't. It's the same like with Gaelic football. When I was growing up, I was always under the impression that the dirty players, the lads who are always nipping you and stuff like that, they're doing it to make up for a lack of talent.
Yeah,
Do
well,
you know
this
what I
is a thing.
Farrell does not need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You know-
find that in Gaelic football as well. That leaving one in on your man, letting him know
Yeah.
you're there culture is so backwards.
It's just
like,
because
just be better than him.
Yeah, your man's better than you. You have to hit him to
Yeah.
slow him down, whatever. Like, and it's probably the same in rugby as well. You know what I mean? Like,
That Farrell thing though, that's a very big Saracens thing. They've been doing that for the last couple of years, like celebrating every scrum penalty. You know, to really rub it in. It's like you already have the penalty. You don't need to really rub
you
it
can
in.
celebrate a penalty, but going over and patting the forward in the head, that's too far.
The way in which they celebrate though with Saracens is like when they're celebrating all the penalties they win, it's almost like a you fucked up sort of celebration. Like it's almost a taunt. It's not a like celebrating as a team.
Once you don't physically touch them, I don't mind. As in, like,
I don't think like
I don't mind that celebrate. You know what I mean? You've done well, whatever.
yeah, but
touch them.
don't stand over your man that made the mistake. Celebrate your victory with your team as opposed to
Oh, yeah, if they're standing
rubbing in the
over
face of the
someone,
person that
that's
made the
like
mistake.
different.
But yeah, no, I don't like that. Like the tapping on the head.
Or even Farrell I don't know if he did the up and under, but he was running after it, and Baker was in front of him, and he just pushes him in the bag onto the ground. Like why are you being such an asshole?
yeah,
I know your dad doesn't love you, but it's okay. Move on.
No, I think that just it's just.
I think that fed into the occasion. You know, it is a big rivalry with Wales and England.
Yeah, I think they buy into that rivalry a lot more than we realise because we always think that us and England is the big rivalry, but I think England just have a rivalry with everyone.
Well, we
they're
do
just
that.
constantly on the go. Like it's like they hate the
we
French.
view the
they-
rivalry between us and England much more than they do, I think.
Yeah, well, see, but that's because they're like splitting their rivalries each direction. They've got
everyone
north, south,
hates
east, and
England,
west
yeah.
going. Like
Yeah,
then
yeah,
they
true,
they
it's a good
have
point.
like they don't hate they can't hate anyone too much because everyone, they like even them with like Australia and England like hate each other and like it's-
Well, that's what you get for invading everywhere.
yeah, that's the problem. Now.
I have a friend who's a few friends that are British, and one of the lads is like, well, the problem with being British is you can't be proud of it. Like you can't, like people don't let you still be like proud to be British. It's like it's because you went around like conquering and oppressing half the planet.
Because you were aggressively proud for too
Yeah.
long.
What are we supposed to be like? Oh, British. Oh, great! Like, do you want some counties? We've got a few we're not using.
Thanks for leaving. Andy Good said on the podcast the other day, he goes, for the first time ever, I kind of got it. He's like, with the Farrell thing, he goes, I kind of get why people don't like England. It's like, it took you this long to realise it. But we'll move on. Yeah, great game. England definitely hitting their stride, still beating teams well. That game, whether it looked tight, the scoreline, it definitely wasn't. And they go on out to play Italy in the last game, whatever that is, but they'll put up a big score on them. Will it be Sergio Parese's last game, or will he even come out?
I don't know. Where is it? Is it in
It's in
Italy?
Italy.
Oh, well, maybe Sergio
Yeah.
Parisi might come
He
out.
didn't play the last home game. I was so disappointed. He
Maybe-
didn't even tog
The
out.
man is cursed. Like, you know, last game was supposed to be against the All Blacks in the World Cup. There's a typhoon. Now last game meant to be against England in the Six Nations, and there's a
Maybe it's a
worldwide
sign.
pandemic.
Stop being so ego.
Yeah.
It's
Just
ego
accept
maniac.
your last game against Russia.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah. We'll move on then to the France-Scotland game. Scotland coming away with an amazing win.
28-17.
What a day to be on the Finn Russell was holding him back island. Me and that other guy on Twitter who I can't remember who he was we're on loungers getting a tan on that island.
Yeah,
but you peasants.
I'm more on the like. Imagine what it would have been like if Finn Russell was there. It could have been 50. It could have been a spanking.
I don't think it can be over exaggerated. Intimac going off after 10 minutes is massive.
Killer, absolutely killer.
And then getting a man
if you want
sent
any
off.
proof of that, the first Scottish try, like Jean Lebert, for some reason cuts in to cover a man who's already covered, leaving a 2-on-1 outside him. Like,
yeah, I saw that actually. It was pretty bad. It's like when you're taught again, like even the time I played, you're taught if you shoot him from the line, you better make sure you either make a tackle or intercept the pass.
Yeah.
He did neither.
He didn't even shoot up. He shot like up and back in, like creating, like doing exactly what Scotland wanted and creating extra space.
Yeah, Scotland played well, like, but at the same time, this game, like, I think if the game's played 10 times, like, I think France went like 7 or 8 because Intimac was off early. Even the second half,
The yellow card early.
Red card.
Yeah,
and
red
then
card.
30 minutes in or something.
30.
Scotland have a line out, France steal it, it bounces awkwardly, and then the Scotland hooker takes it and runs.
But it's one of
Yeah,
those, I think it's one of those make your own luck things. Like I think Scotland they were riding a good like wave of momentum. They were on the crest, and stuff was just going their way because they were being positive. Like, you know, if France hadn't been that little bit more desperate, would you have dove on the ball a little bit, something like that?
Yeah.
You know, like Scotland, stuff just coming off for you when, like, if someone's getting sent off and then your star out half's getting taken off, everything just seems like it's going against you. Like,
Yeah, it was one of those. Scotland played well. Like, I'm not taking away from Scotland. Defended pretty well. Dupont didn't have his best game. He had an amazing
Patchy
crossfield
enough,
kick, but there was definitely parts where he was a bit scrappy.
See, I think, like, the thing that I want to mention is, like, first up, Scotland were playing better than France before any of this stuff happened.
True, yeah.
Before the yellow card, before Intermac got injured, before the red card, Scotland were playing better. France had scored beautiful crossfield kick from Dupont, great fucking try from Penno. France were France, but Scotland had started a lot stronger. But I think what started to happen, I think maybe from Dupois' side is, you know, when Intermac goes off, Dupois then kind of feels like it's all on him.
I got that
Doesn't
vibe
have
too,
that
yeah.
partner anymore to kind of help. Because I think Dupois has, again, if you look at that try, right, Dupois looks for a pass, and then just decides to boot it across the pen.
And like the slow motion replay, it was like inches from being blocked.
Yeah.
And it still got out.
But it was his ability to change his mind. I said the same thing about Intermac the week before. His ability to change his mind as to what point of attack they wanted was great. And I think, especially after the red card. Now, again, I had said before that I'm amazed Jamie Ritchie didn't get a yellow card for running in and starting all of that.
He might be getting cited though, isn't
I
he?
think he probably will, yeah. And there's questions about, like, I think he'll be cited for the running in anyway. And get in trouble for that. But
sure.
he escalated, definitely. But I think that your man, the French prop, was it Hasso? How do you pronounce it?
Yeah.
House. I'm going to go with House. I'm going with House. House claims there was an eye gouge in it.
Really?
The French media put in a picture and it looks like there is an eye gouge.
Yeah, so he's claimed there's an eye gouge. But your man, is it Hastings comes in and he runs in and he gets smashed with a big punch. But he's also getting about 2 other lads leaving little ones in on him as well. Like, he was getting pushed around the shot.
Well, like Scotland won't care if they get a citing after. Like, they got
Nah,
the
give us your
you know what I mean?
6-week ban.
Yeah.
Coronavirus is in anyway.
We bet France. We don't give a crap.
Yeah.
I think it was, again, and we said with what I was saying for Dupois personally, but you see a lot of the old France creeps in after that red card, right? A lot of players put their heads down, and I think, you know, credit to Olivon and Demba Bamba when he came on, and Dupont and a couple others, Thomas Ramos as well when he came on. Like, they really, really wanted to keep the fight going to Scotland, but I just think as a team, that brilliant French unit that we've seen, that brilliant French unit of the Sean Edwards defence, when they got the red card, people lost faith in that unit.
Yeah, it
collapsed.
started to look a bit disjointed for the first time all tournament. But it's probably for the benefit of the tournament now. Scotland have this win. It's more open because even for France's benefit, them winning the Grand Slam this year might not have been in the long term the best thing for them in terms of their development. Having that little kick up the hole might actually be brilliant for them because they go back, their tail between their legs, they go back and train a bit. Sean Edwards can go, you know what, this went wrong, so now you're going to listen even more because look at what happens when we do it right. We'll get to that and we'll just build and build and build.
This is why, and I know I obviously don't want this to happen, but I think maybe in the long run it's better. I nearly don't want Ireland to win Six Nations.
Not this
in a
year.
way, I don't think. Yeah, this year. Like this year.
This has
I
been
don't think it
something-
would be beneficial long term for us to
think we're good.
basically, yeah, to think that we're you know, just we won 16. Yeah, let's keep this going. I don't think that's good. You know what I mean? Personally, but at the same time, obviously, I want Ireland.
But there's a lot of papering over cracks that happens, and Ireland are we fall foul to it all the time. Like the Grand Slam a couple of years ago. How many phases was it against France going absolute nowhere before Sexton bailed us out with an absolutely stellar, unbelievable dropkick to win it? Great result, great victory. But the actual gameplay there was like we were doing nothing. We just needed a moment of miracle.
Play well.
No, we needed a miracle moment from a player, and that's
even the dropkick. As soon as he kicks it, you're like, oh, "What are you doing? Oh my god!"
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's why winning this year would have papered over a lot of cracks. Getting to the stage where I think we're at now, and if we finish second, all well and good. We finished first, yeah, great. I'll celebrate. Obviously, I will because we won. But getting to the stage where we are now, where everyone can look at how we played, go, here's what we're building on, here's where it's going forward, here's where we need to work because these are the obvious cracks. You know that way? Yeah. And I think that France will benefit in the long run from this loss because it's a bit of a kick up the hole for them. Scotland have shown that they can be beaten. You can get rid of that blitz by putting it in behind. I thought Hogg was absolutely unbelievable. I thought the way that Scotland played against that blitz quick defence was just to get rid of it. They were just like, we'll just put it behind you. We'll just put it wide. We'll get it away from the point of danger. And that's something that France will now have to look at because that's what has been so successful for them in the other games this season so far in the Six Nations and will be a template for all of the other teams going play in France. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and credit to Hogg. He's quite the bounce back from that first game.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like to go and people question going to Exeter, but he scored a try in that game, and since then he's been.
So he probably needed to wash out the first two games. He probably needed to get that out of his system and just go out and have a kick about with his mates. Do you know?
I think they always say that, and I think Sexton put up there on Instagram, but he's saying like, you know, he had such a bad game against England that he was hoping to have a game the next week to go out and you know right your wrongs kind of thing, and he hasn't had the chance to do that. So I'm sure that is quite frustrating for him.
Yeah, you don't want to just dwell on it. That's the best thing about like just having the opportunity to go out and do something else a week later.
I'm just going to go blow my nose, guys, so you just keep going, okay? No, I'm sick.
You don't want to dwell on it. You don't want to like be stuck sitting there for weeks. Say your last game of your season, say for Connacht, if it's a dead rubber, if it's just a game and you end up losing by loads, that's sitting with you for the whole summer. It's playing on your mind. Because you want to be able to just change that week in, week out. And that's I think Hogg's done is he's taken the first two games, he's had a little bit of a break, he's gone back, he's played a game, he's played well, and now he's coming back into it a lot fresher and a lot more up for it.
Yeah, and I think it's worth keeping in mind that, you know, we've kind of, as you said there, like, it's probably good for France not to get a Grand Slam this year. I mean, last time they got a Grand Slam in 2011 did not, or 2010 was it, didn't breed a decade of success. You know, actually a decade of decline. And they, like many others, have a new coaching structure involved this year. So it's more about seeing, okay, the game we played against England, that's the standard now that we want to get to and play at in every game coming. Here's what can happen when we take our foot off the gas, as you say, and here's what we want to be.
I'm back.
Yeah, I think...
It's not free.
It's not free?
Well, there's a load up there.
Cleared. Is that the cure, or is it just blow your nose? Is that 2 weeks off school now?
Yeah, I actually didn't know.
Oh my god, don't touch my couch.
I actually, on the way back in, I rubbed my hands on every piece of furniture you own.
Oh, all two of them.
Oh, didn't take me long. What you guys talk about while I was away?
we were just continuing on with the Hogg stuff, just saying how it's nice to have another week, like a second week. You don't want to be sitting dwelling on something. I was giving the example of like Connacht regularly in the last couple of years have had dead rubber games towards the end of the season.
Of course, when I leave, you used to talk about Connacht.
Of course we do.
I leave for 2 seconds.
But we've had these dead rubber games at the end of seasons, and if you lose that sits with you for the whole summer. Whereas if you win that, like say you put up a big score in a game, it doesn't matter that it counted for nothing. People go off on a high going, I would build on that now going into the pre-season and stuff. I think Hogg needed that. I think he needed to just go back and play a bit of club, play well, and then come back into it and go, you know what, I'm very talented, I show I can do it. You know, my mate Finn's not here, so it's up to me. Like,
yeah, in fairness, Townsend has come out probably the better at this at the moment. You know what I mean? Like if you had told them at the start of the year they're going to beat Italy and France, I know obviously they wouldn't expect to beat France, but without Finn Russell, you probably would have taken that. Do you know what I mean? And they've showed positive.
They were thereabouts against England as well. I mean, had the conditions been any way better, that's a very different game.
Yeah, well,
they could have easily bet us.
Had Scotland's line-out not been... Had they not... They kept going to the back of their line-out in the middle of a storm.
I think that game is just... I think that game is completely unreadable just in terms of like who would have done what.
Let's see if
what this Six Nations might have done, which is I'm a little bit jealous from an Irish point of view, is it might have actually given a backup out half a lot of experience in big game situations. Like they've had a chance. Yeah, they've had a chance to not play with their starting.
Wonder what that's
out
like.
Half. Yeah, I wonder what having a confident backup out half is like.
Well, we'll move on now to the summer tours coming up.
I thought we were going to move on to the third game of the week. Oh, sorry.
England or Ireland.
Ireland had a lovely break.
Yeah, exactly. Going to this summer tournament, if it goes ahead, because God knows if it will or not. But yeah, I tweeted some guy back, but you need to be bringing Burns, Carty, and Byrne.
Yeah.
And
give the lads who were at the World Cup really who played weekend a break, and give them all a chance. Give them a chance, a proper chance now, not 20 minutes. Give them a chance to run a backline from the beginning of games.
Yeah. Bring Cooney
in successive games.
We're 2 games against Australia, isn't it? I don't think it's 3. Is there?
Yeah, but there's a tier 2 fixture as well. I think is there?
Oh, good. Yeah,
usually there is.
Wes, you're a tier 2 guy.
Big tier 2 guy. Oh man, it was a great weekend of tier 2 rugby.
Let's get a tier 2 update. Come on.
Portugal had probably the best half of rugby ever against Georgia. Ronaldo
it was phenomenal. Assuming he does both.
He's probably alright, is it?
He's a pretty decent fucking fly half.
Probably decent out half now.
He would be bossing people around the pitch.
Any penalties inside the half, boom.
Yeah, I can take that.
Keeps going top corner though. It's really
annoying.
Tier
2 update, are you?
Yeah, you guys have gone way off.
That's this podcast. That's what we do.
How are my Belgian waffles doing?
Belgium lost to Spain again. 23-30. It was close. They were all close games this week. But Georgia ran away with the Portugal one towards the end.
Is there any team that you're watching that you say they could survive in the Six Nations?
Georgia.
Is it just Georgia?
Definitely.
Is it just Georgia?
No,
I think Georgia with 2 or 3 years would do more in 2 or 3 years than Italy have done.
Georgia just physicality, or are they actually?
No, they're good rugby players. You've seen them in the past. Like they played Scotland. They beat Scotland last year, was it? Or the year before.
They played Scotland in the...
and Scotland were the first tier 1 team to go to Tbilisi. But they've been in and around for so long, but they'll never step up without the opportunity to go into Six Nations. They are as high as they can get being a tier 2 nation.
Yeah.
And that's
you have to remember as well, like in the tier 2, like first off, they have to have a promotion channel. But like you say, is there anybody who can compete? Like, because you're thinking, Russia are the other team there. Like Russia had no business in the World Cup. Russia were only in the World Cup because Romania, Belgium and Spain all got done for playing ineligible players.
Right.
Yeah. So that means that the only other team in that... So you've got Georgia who were in it, 3 teams who were ineligible, and the team who got relegated from the league last year.
We played Russia, didn't we?
Russia were the only... Yeah, we beat them 35-0.
But it was far from convincing.
No, we were poor against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no, like Georgia will come in, they're not going to be vying for wins, but they're going to be as competitive, if not more, than Italy have been in the last 10 years.
I'm on the Italy bandwagon.
No, I like Italy. I like Italy as a team, but I also think that Italy have been given an opportunity to step up, and they took it, and they've gone as far as they have, and that's great. Georgia have not been given that opportunity. Yeah, Spain, Germany, Russia will not be given that opportunity until something happens, and that does need to happen.
The Germans should be good at rugby.
They're just not interested at the moment.
No,
they've gone down.
Growing,
they've gone down like
you look at the teams that have started to become successful in sevens. Like Spain are a good sevens team, Portugal are a good sevens team, Canada are a great sevens team, Kenya are unbelievable sevens teams. These are teams like that's the start of something in the growth of rugby. Yeah. Like rugby is far too much of an old boys club at the moment.
Yeah, definitely Six Nations. Yeah, they should. Well,
not just Six Nations. Like there needs to be revamp across the world.
Well, rugby. Is it talking about Japan joining the?
They were talking about at the end of the World Cup in the Championship, and the Championship have now gone. So they usually do 2 games, a home and away game each. And they've gotten it down now to 1 game each, which is obviously how the Six Nations and how most of these competitions run. But I think that's blatant. Clearly, they're getting ready to add an next team in, or at least exploring that possibility, because I think they want Japan in. They want that viewership. They want that market.
Fiji, with the backing of I follow him on Twitter. I don't know if you was David Leo or Danny Leo, who he's like the head of the Pacific Isles Players Association, and he kind of just essentially is constantly just tweeting Pacific Island players' grievances, and one of them is the treatment of the Pacific Island teams like the Samoa, the Fiji, and Tonga, who have constantly supplied rugby players to the world and got nothing in return. And Fiji will feel aggrieved. Samoa 10 years ago would feel they were aggrieved, they were overlooked. Like that, they need to be given the opportunity as well. Like how many, like we've Bundy, there's in England they've Tuilagi, even Apollos. Then in New Zealand they're all lads. In
them, yeah.
Australia, like those players, they need to be given their representation as well.
But the thing is, we can't, like, and this is what kind of annoys me a little bit. Like, we can't, as the Six Nations, be like, yeah, add them into the Rugby Championship, yeah, bring them in. Like, we can't shoulder that whole work onto the Southern Hemisphere teams. We have to do our part as well now.
Oh yeah, no, but we have to do it for the teams closer geographically for us.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. Your Georgias, your Spains, your Portugals.
Like Spain, Spain trashed Russia. They lost to Georgia, but had a decent performance against them. Like Spain, and again, I'm not saying they can compete. Probably, maybe not even can compete with Italy. But
no, but
in a couple of years,
they'll never be able to compete without the opportunity in the platform. Like that, no team would be able to grow that much in tier 2, so they're competitive. It makes no sense. It's like
definitely a ceiling on what you can.
Yeah, that's it. Like you can't grow anymore, but you have to be given the opportunity.
And again, as well, like not only will having a promotion aspect for them improve their rugby, having a relegation aspect from the tier 1, from the Six Nations down to the Rugby Championship, will also bring more validity to that league, because all of a sudden you're going to care a little bit more when Tommaso Allen and Ian Keatley are playing international rugby against Georgia a weekend. You're going to care more about those fixtures when a team you consider a tier 1 team is down in that second tier Six Nations.
Yeah, definitely. I think the promotion would be beneficial for a lot, because even like you kind of get sick of the same teams over and over again. I don't really get to watch Georgia because I don't watch tier 2 rugby, but I'd like to watch them. As in, like if they came up and played, England, I'd like to watch that game. So I think they need to look at bringing in definitely some promotion and relegation.
Oh
but
yeah,
then how do you...
without a doubt, because otherwise it's not viable. And like there's all the CVC stuff in terms of TV. You have, like you said, with the standard, you also have a ceiling of how much money and revenue can be built. The reason why soccer is able to command the amount of money it does from all these TV stations, BT, Amazon Prime, Sky, all of those, the reason why it can is because it's watched across the world, and rugby won't be watched across the world until teams are being represented, until African teams are there outside of South Africa, because then the rest of Africa will start to join in, until these Eastern Bloc teams like the Georgias, the Russias, until they're being represented on the world stage, no one's going to bother watching it. Why would they tune into Ireland, Scotland? Like, what are they gaining from that? You can't get your TV rights, your money, your growth of the game internationally without the representation as well. Yeah,
obviously it's going to, if they now have a chance of being in the competition, it's going to promote TV stations to carry it in Georgia, which is going to... Well, although rugby is pretty massive in Georgia anyway, but even for the likes of Spain, if they see Georgia go up, or if they see Italy come down, or maybe not even Italy, maybe Scotland or someone go down, or Jesus, for heaven's sake, we could end up going, well, at least in a playoff to go down. It's gonna heighten, it's gonna bring more validity to the rugby as a whole in Spain. I mean, I think success is a rolling stone. Like if it starts to appear more valid in Spain society, then more Spanish people will buy into it.
Yeah, like I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know the figures at all, but I can guarantee you that since Argentina have been in the Rugby Championship, the other South American nations have taken more interest in rugby. Uruguay and Brazil both had games.
Well, look at Uruguay in the last World Cup in 2015 were at least 60% not professional. Yeah. Whereas I think they were all, if not 90% professional in the last World Cup. So it has grown. And
Brazil are playing these games, they'll start to be on TV. It's going to grow around. So even if Georgia are coming in and doing all right, or Russia are coming in and doing all right, the countries around them that might not necessarily be competing, like your Croatias or your Switzerlands and stuff, the interest levels might heighten a bit because it's more geographically relevant to them as opposed to an Ireland-Scotland game. They've no
massive countries like Russia, even if 10% of the population start to think about rugby, that's so many people.
Yeah, that's so many steroids.
Psychopaths. Even Japan wasn't a big rugby nation until the last year or two when they started.
The Japanese and the interest in rugby in Japan has been huge for years. Like we have a friend that we know from when we lived in China, and he's been playing rugby, and there's been amateur and Sunday League rugby for years in Japan, just because of the amount of expats living there and stuff.
Yeah, but they were saying that for the general public there, though, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, but it was the same as rugby in most countries that it was a niche sport. Like it wasn't your soccer. It wasn't. I mean, sumo wrestling genuinely is the biggest sport. I don't know if it's the biggest sport, but one of the biggest.
Well, it
sports.
is the biggest sport.
Yeah, physically.
Yeah. Good joke.
But yeah, they're saying like the figures now for Japan rugby have skyrocketed since the World Cup, and they seem to be holding. You know, now their league has also been put in a 2-week hiatus because somebody was arrested for cocaine possession.
Yeah,
one of the players said, like, you know what,
their whole league is being
really.
Yeah, it's been put in suspension until this all blows up, like sees, because apparently he's been arrested, but supposedly it's a big problem throughout the entire league.
Oh wow,
and that is
cocaine as well. It wasn't like steroid possession. It was, you know,
and that's probably a byproduct of the way in which that league was sort of established. Is what they did was they kind of brought in a load of lads that might have been in and around other teams with a hell of a lot of ability but not that much work ethic, and they brought them in and started giving them a load of money. That might be an unfortunate byproduct of that. I don't know. I don't want to be done for slander or anything, but
it's okay. It's a funny setup because the main league in Japan is like a semi-professional professional league, in the sense that they bring over the likes of you know, they have like Bowden Barrett is going over now for a season. They have a load of New Zealand players going over. Your man Stamen, who's going to play for Munster next year, the South African,
he's over there
at the minute. So what they have
he looks like a man among children, like.
But they bring over each team bring over a couple of foreign players, but all of the teams are owned by companies in Japan. So like Toyota own a team, Panasonic own a team, and some of the players in that team work half a day for Panasonic and then go out and train in rugby.
Right.
So like you have these guys here. Calling it semi-professional is not 100% accurate, but it's not professional either.
It's also not accurate.
But I mean, it's promoting interest in that league, and then they're talking about now having actually a professional league with Sunwolves-esque teams that would be involved.
Yes, that like the Sunwolves team that was in the Super 27s now. I don't know what it is at the moment. Super 14, Super Rugby, Super
Rugby.
Super duper rugby.
But I think
it was
yeah.
They're winning it.
But so that team that existed, they were kind of like, everyone thought that was going to be all the Japanese players that were going to represent Japan in the World Cup, but actually they were hiding away in a league in Japan playing regularly, as opposed to playing this kind of weird international league tournament. And in the long run for Japan, I think that the domestic league is going to be the thing. The same way in America with this new professional, like this new league, and like the interest is heightened. There's players like ex-Connacht players going over playing now. They're playing at the moment and they're making a bit of a living. In 10 years' time, America will be producing their own rugby players, and that league will be full of American-produced quality players. There won't be as much room for the ex-Connacht players that didn't quite make it, or the lads that like the journeymen. Like that will die out in a while. It's the same in Japan. Like that, I think it'll die out in a while, and the interest will grow and grow and grow, and they'll just have not fully, but the same amount of representation as we have here in Connacht or Leinster or Munster, where you have one or two foreign players, but mainly developed
Irish players,
domestic players. Yeah.
I think we should wrap it up because it's been a long one.
Yeah, with the long one, considering we had nothing to talk about, was all right.
That's the thing. It wasn't structured, but that's what we do. You know,
we're the masters of none.
We are the masters of none. Thanks for listening. We'll do it next week, but I think we'll switch it up. I've got an idea, so we'll keep you posted, because obviously there's no sport on ever.
Well, at the minute, Wales Scotland is going ahead. We haven't heard.
We'll see. I'll be shocked if it actually does go ahead, but we'll see. If it does, we'll mention it next week. Predictions for that: Wales.
Yeah, I don't know. Predictions for it is 2 people in hospital and quarantine for 2 weeks. That's how it is.
That's what's going to be my prediction. Follow me on Twitter at @none_podcast, on Instagram Master of None, and also on YouTube. I'll be uploading to YouTube. What do the YouTubers always say? Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that like button. Which hip thrust that like button.
No, you're not allowed to smash things. It's like elbow touches and.
Oh yeah, gently rub your foot on the like button, and then wash that foot, that dirty foot. Do you want to plug your Twitter, lads? Go on ahead there. Wesley never remembers his.
Oh, I don't remember mine. I think I'm Sammy
J. I have to look it up.
God.
J_West91.
And if you want
Sammy P or whatever the hell.
If you want to see my various ramblings and giving out about all the teams that I support that let me down constantly, it's SAMI_SP.
What's SP stand for?
Sanford Park. It was the secondary school I went to.
Wow, so creative.
I know. It was. The funny thing is, the reason that's my Twitter name is because that was my Bebo name at the time.
Wow, my God.
That's just.
And you called me up.
Well, fun fact, my BMO name at one stage was Sugar Dunkington. From semi-pro. Do you remember Sugar Dunkington? And then I forgot how I spelled the username, so I locked it myself out of my BMO account. But yeah.
Did you have another half? Did you give each other your loves? Like that's.
Oh yeah, fact. Your top 16 was life and debt.
Oh, your
You
other
have to
half.
pick, like, you have to have like a row of people with the best profile pictures.
Another half. Why are we talking about Bebo? Let's move
You can
on.
get us on Bebo at
Master of Dunkington. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll hopefully hear from you next week.
Bye.
Good luck.